Hello everyone, I am David PLEUDEAU from the Muséum National d'Histoire Naturelle in Paris, and I am glad to introduce my research topics in the frame of this outline course of the International Master in Quaternary and Prehistory. I am prehistorian, and my research concerns mainly prehistory of Africa, where I try to question the notion of cultural transition, particularly during the Upper Pleistocene and Holocene times. Sometimes overused, the notion of cultural transition finally hides our difficulties, some difficulties that we have concerning our understandings of the behavioral changes over time, the process which drove these changes, and which are quite difficult to assess, particularly due to the degree of resolution we can get from the field, from the archaeological sequences, and from the different proxies we used in terms of chronology, environments, or behavioral strategies, for instance. We thus try to contextualize and investigate the parameters and constraints which drove these shifts in human behavior, whether they are technical, socio-economic, or symbolic. So I said try because it appears quite difficult to assess the cultural changes during prehistoric times, particularly concerning the Africa, which is mainly a tropical continent, and thus where environments and climatic conditions have changed over time differently, and particularly compared to the other regions, to other continents like Europe, for instance. As you know, tropical areas are marked by specific and very contrasted environments, climate and landscape, leading to a kind of mosaic of ecozones. Concerning my main topic, I work on two regions, Eastern and Southern Africa, and two transitional periods related to Middle Stone Age, Later Stone Age, and to the arrival of pastoralism. In East Africa, key region, as you know, in the emergence and in the dispersal of Homo sapiens, we developed with Ethiopian colleagues in the frame of an international team survey and site excavation programs in order to apprehend both the Middle Stone Age, the Later Stone Age, and the transition from one to the other, meaning that we study two cultural periods marked by important innovation in human strategies, and which accompany the development of Homo sapiens in Africa during Upper Pleistocene. For example, and particularly, we worked on a site, Goda Buticha, that we discovered a few years ago, and which documents more than 60,000 years of human occupation. Beyond the gap in the deposits during the MIS2 corresponding to the last glacial maximum, and where the general trend of hyper-aridification in Africa probably push population towards other places, some other refuges, like mountain, for example. So beyond this gap, the persistence of typical Middle Stone Age and Middle Stone Age technical traits, like the manufacture of bifacial point, the specific hafted projectiles, or even some very characteristic reduction sequence in the debit age. So the persistence of these traits within later Stone Age layers during Holocene times, generally more turned towards like toolkit, like microliths, facilitating human mobility, specialized hunting strategy, or large territory management. So this persistence is very interesting in questions the modalities of this kind of continuity of cultural traits during into Holocene times across time, for more than 20,000 years old, and question the peopling dynamics, which could be the results of permanency of settlements in the area, or of technical reintroduction or reinvention by new groups. Anyway, we still continue to work on, of course. So secondly, in Southern Africa, and more precisely in Namibia, we collaborate with Namibian institutions and colleagues and investigate the transition between hunter-gatherer occupation of the later Stone Age and the arrival of herding practices, first step toward pastoralism and food production. Here too, it's quite very difficult to catch archaeologically both cultural transition and diffusion, or even human migration. By genetic or even linguistic evidences, first herders in Southern Africa are believed to arrive some 2,000 years ago, migrating from Eastern Africa. Nevertheless, archaeologically, there are very few evidences of this migration, of this movement, like domestic animal remains or even human remains, which could document this diffusion, this transition, or even this migration. So one of the sites we investigated and that we discovered in Namibia is representative of these difficulties. There, among a large corpus of wild hunted animals within later Stone Age layers, we recovered and determined by morphological features the earliest sheep remain of Southern Africa, meaning the first evidence of herding practices in all the region. The problem is that the morphological features of caprines, of this sheep or goat, are very similar to other wild small bovids. Thus, we apply new biomolecular techniques called paleoproteomics on these remains, and we very recently reassessed these remains, these sheep remains, these caprine remains, to springbok, a local antelope. So the first, the most ancient evidence of domestication in Southern Africa just moved to late evidence of a late arrival of herders, more than 1,500 later. So this experience was a bit disappointing, but at the same time very exciting, proving that we always need to be careful in our assumption, and that new accurate and more modern techniques like the biomolecular, the proteomics, can be very helpful and complementary to more traditional methods of analysis. So finally, to conclude, I would like to conclude that through these few examples, you can see that our researches are not developed isolated, but correspond to research established in the frame of scientific network, either from local, European or international collaboration. And also I would like to conclude that our works are always articulated with training with you students, either from master or PhD level, through your involvement in excavation, of course, in the studies, particularly in the frame of your research work, of your thesis, and of course through this IMQP curriculum. So I wish you just all the best for these 2 years, and just can say that hopefully we will meet soon. Bye bye.